The DCU only has a few releases, but it's already an extremely well fleshed out DC universe full of heroes, as the focus on pre-established world building has been made extremely important, which can very easily lead to our first true complete live-action comic book interconnected cinematic universe. The MCU, for instance, mostly only introduced characters as they debuted, combine that with all the rights issues, and that world has never been complete. The DCU is already close to that. In this video, I'll be detailing every superhero who exists in the DCU, between the characters who have appeared, those cast, those confirmed, and those whose canonicity are in question. Make sure to subscribe and become a member in the noble tier or above for early access to videos, and let's begin. This video will be broken into a few categories, starting with all the superheroes who have an actor attached to them regardless of if they've appeared or not. Within that, the DCU heroes who have been cast could also be divided into 6 different franchises or subcategories corresponding to the earliest releases of the DCU. The most important of these subcategories is the Superman family, starting with Superman himself. Kal-El, aka Clark Kent, is played by David Corenswet. He's currently 30 years old as of 2025, having debuted as Superman at 27 years old 3 years ago, meaning in 2022. Since then, he's faced off against the likes of Metallo, Lex Luthor, Ultraman, the Engineer, Dimensional Imps, a Kaiju, and the country of Baravia, while getting together with Lois Lane and meeting multiple other heroes along the way. Superman is obviously a franchise tier main hero and sure to be one of the most important characters in the chapter. Superman has appeared in Superman, a cameo in Creature Commandos, and is set to return in a large role, although maybe not the main role, in James Gunn's next film, which he is both writing and will direct. At some point before the events of Superman, Kara Zor-El came to Earth. Played by Millie Alcock, Kara seemingly hasn't yet debuted as Supergirl, as her depressing backstory of watching all her loved ones die and the planet explode led to her being a jaded, broken person and seemingly an alcoholic. She'll truly become Supergirl in her movie, making her another franchise tier main hero who is sure to be important. Millie is currently 25, but Kara is meant to be 21 in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, so she probably will be 21 in 2026, meaning that she's around a decade younger than Clark. And it seems like chronologically she's also younger than Clark, which is opposed to some origins. In this version, it seems what will happen is that a piece of crypto called Argo City broke off and managed to survive for 2 decades, during which Kara was born and raised. She's also already had 2 costumes, as the suit she's seen in her debut appearance in Superman is a bit different to her suit in Supergirl. She's gonna get a bit of an upgrade, which is great because the suit in Superman is already really good. Supergirl's current state makes her a pretty terrible owner of her dog, Krypto. Krypto is technically also cast, as he's modeled after James Gunn's dog, Ozu, but obviously he is a dog, he doesn't really need to be cast. Krypto seemingly comes from Argo City alongside Supergirl, having accompanied her as her planet died, leading to Krypto having an irresponsible owner and thus becoming a terrible dog. This is a deviation from the comics, as Krypto has always been Superman's dog, but this does make a lot of sense. They're kind of skipping the time dilation or time travel aspects of the origin stories of both Supergirl and Krypto. Funnily enough, Krypto is actually also a franchise tier main character, technically, as alongside his appearances as Superman and the upcoming Supergirl, he'll be getting his own series of shorts released once per season over the course of the next year, which means every single member of the Superman family so far has had their own titular role in something, clearly cementing themselves as the most important part of the universe, at least for now. The second category of cast heroes are the Green Lanterns, with the original being Hal Jordan. A bit of a unique take on Hal. He's played by the 60-year-old Kyle Chandler and meant to be a legendary veteran of the Green Lantern Corps on the verge of retirement, set to be replaced by John Stewart. At this point, he's obviously gone through a whole long career, one that we at the very least know includes Sinestro and maybe Star Sapphire. Technically, Hal can also be considered a franchise tier hero, since the Lanterns title does refer to him and John, even if the story is going to technically be more John Stewart's story, placing Hal as what is also technically a supporting character, one that's unlikely to be the chapter's primary Green Lantern or maybe even survive this season, which might end up being his only appearance. Lantern Season 1 is currently his only confirmed appearance. We'll see what goes from there. Guy Gardner is also older than usual, as he's played by the 54-year-old Nathan Fillion. Frankly, however, Guy in Superman can easily pass as someone in his 30s, especially a Guy Gardner in his 30s, maybe looking a bit rough for his age, maybe even not. He does look very good for his age. So maybe the character is a lot younger than Nathan Fillion is. Guy, like the comics, is an asshole, the second human recruit to the Green Lantern Corps, and rocks the terrible bowl haircut. As a founding member of the Justice Gang, he's sponsored by Lortec. Guy cameoed in Creature Commandos, had a large role in Superman, will have a guest appearance on Peacemaker, and then another large role in Lanterns, making him easily the most recurring Green Lantern in the DCU as of right now. And I think that will always be true. I think Guy Gardner will remain the most recurring Green Lantern, John Stewart will be the main Green Lantern. John Stewart is more of a prime age hero, and Lanterns is meant to be his story. John is played by Aaron Pierre, who is currently 31, making John basically the same age as Superman. In Lanterns, he'll be a newly recruited Green Lantern, likely fresh out of basic training as he gains real-world experience by shadowing Hal Jordan, who is a legendary veteran, on what's meant to be one of his final missions. John's only confirmed appearance right now is Lanterns, but he will surely go on to become one of the chapter's primary focuses, and obviously a franchise tier hero. Regardless of who it is, the Green Lantern side of things are taking a sharp turn for the better compared to the DCEU. The third category actually interconnects to the second, as it involves the Justice Gang. Obviously there's Guy Gardner, but also there is Hawkgirl. Kendra Saunders is played by Isabella Merced, who is 24. We could assume that the character is also probably around that age, or at least this incarnation of her is. Kendra Saunders is the newest reincarnation of Shayara, with ties to both Thanagar and Mystic Reincarnation, who, given her age, likely debuted relatively recently, and also it kind of hints that maybe the JSA version of Hawkgirl died of old age around the early 2000s when Kendra was born. She's a founding member of the Justice Gang, sponsored by Lortech, has organic wings that either disappear or are removable, and is responsible for the death of the Baravian president Vasil Gurkos. There hasn't been any mention of Hawkman or much else of this version of Hawkgirl's backstory, but she is already a recurring character, appearing in a cameo in Creature Commandos, as well as appearances in Superman and Peacemaker Season 2 at the very least. Michael Holt, aka Mr. Terrific, is played by the 46-year-old Eddie Gattegi, and we could assume that he's around the same age. He's considered one of the smartest people on Earth alongside Batman and Lex Luthor, but I think he should probably be considered smarter than at the very least Batman. Holt is the founder of Holt Industries, and yet for some reason is also sponsored by Lortech as a founding member of the Justice Gang. In the comics, his origin involves his wife's death, his brother's death, an attempted suicide, the Spectre, and the original Mr. Terrific, Terry Sloan, who is an inspiration. None of this has been mentioned on screen, but it has been mentioned behind the scenes that he lost his wife. With sorcery-level high-tech weapons, Mr. Terrific is incredibly competent and incredibly powerful despite not having any powers. Instead, he has the T-Spheres, and I for one am loving the newfound popularity this character has received, and I am definitely excited to see him again. As of now, however, beyond his cameo in Creature Commandos and his role in Superman, he does not have any confirmed upcoming appearances. Metamorpho is played by the 42-year-old Anthony Carrigan, which again can certainly simply be his age. In the comics, Rex Mason was an archaeologist and the boyfriend of one Sapphire Stagg. Her unapproving father, Simon Stagg, sent him on a mission meant to kill him, but instead he was exposed to a magical artifact that mutated his body into the Element Man. His origin hasn't been explored in the DCU yet, but we do see Stagg Industries, and Rex is married and has a kid with Sapphire Stagg. Metamorpho can change his body parts into any element, making him a powerful metahuman and a very worthy new recruit to the Justice Gang. Unlike Category 4 includes the characters of Peacemaker, who can basically all be considered anti-heroes, but I'm including them here anyway. Anti-heroes can be included. Chris Smith, aka Peacemaker, is played by John Cena, who was born in 1977, but at least in the DCEU, Peacemaker was actually born in 1981, and if that remains canon, he's currently 44 years old. Speaking of, the majority of Peacemaker's appearances are canon, so he's currently the most explored hero in the DCU. Between his backstory of being raised by a supervillain genius father, forced to fight and mistakenly kill his brother, hated by his father for it, but trained into being Peacemaker, a former member of the Suicide Squad, the killer of Rick Flag Jr., a member of the 11th Street Gang, and now rejected from the Justice Gang, despite stopping an alien invasion. Counting his loose canon appearances, Peacemaker is the most recurring character in the DCU, appearing in every project so far, cameo or otherwise, aside from Blue Beetle. Eagly is Peacemaker's expertly trained eagle and the one and only original character in this video. He's voiced by D. Bradley Baker and appears only in the 2 seasons of Peacemaker, and in Season 2 he has his own arch enemy, Red Saint Wild. Adrian Chase, aka Vigilante, really draws the line on being an anti-hero, as he's definitely killed innocent people before. Played by Freddie Stroma, Vigilante was born in 1991 in the DCU, which would make him 34 if that's canon. He's a psychopathic and highly competent vigilante and a member of the 11th Street Kids, who considers Peacemaker his best friend and considers fighting crime to be an absolute blast. Judo Master is also in the morally gray area because while he was an antagonist in Season 1 working with the main villains, he was entirely heroic in his motives. Judo Master's real name hasn't been revealed. In the comics it's Rip Jagger, but he's pretty much entirely a different character from the different ethnicity, completely different costume, and he is noticeably smaller. Judo Master is played by Nut Lee, which is unique for a hero in that he's only 5 feet tall. So far he's appeared in in the 2 seasons of Peacemaker, as well as a cameo in Creature Commandos. Speaking of the Commandos, they make up the 5th category, but I'm not including all of them. Flag is more of an agent type than a superhero. Some of them are just villains forced to do good, like Dr. Phosphorus, King Shark, Callus, and Nosferatu, while Frankenstein, for instance, a hero in the comics, is turned into a villain. The same goes for Congarilla. This leaves us with 4 characters, the most heroic of whom is definitely G.I. Robot. G.I. Robot is voiced by Sean Gunn. Now usually if a casting is voice only, that would not put that character in the cast category, except for characters like these, who even in live action would just be voice only. G.I. Robot was created in the 1940s to kill Nazis. He served as a member of Easy Company, was used as the design basis for the Metal Men, but was defunct for a while before then being used as a creature commando. Technically, G.I. Robot was destroyed and then replaced by a new, different, bulky G.I. Robot who debuted in 2023 and is now a member of the current Creature Commandos. The next most heroic is actually Weasel, who in contrast to Frankenstein is a villain in the comics who was turned into a hero. Weasel's origin is unknown, but at the very least we know the origin of his capture, and he never really did anything wrong. In fact, he tried to save kids from a burning fire, and then all he tried to do after that was save Ilana Rostovic. He's a villain in the comics, but not at all in this world. Weasel is also voiced by Sean Gunn, who previously played him via voice and motion capture in the Suicide Squad, so clearly that casting counts as well. Frankenstein is turned into a villain, but the Bride is more of an anti-hero. Created in 1831, the Bride is an 194-year-old ageless zombie who spent most of the last 2 centuries simply escaping from Eric Frankenstein, before then joining the Creature Commandos in 2023. She's played by Indira Varma, who is meant to play her in live action if she ever appears, which I think one day she definitely will. All those characters are set to return in season 2, and then again, maybe one day in live action. This next character, however, will probably never appear again. The least heroic of the non-villain members of the Commandos is Nina Mazursky. She's definitely not a villain, she's the furthest thing from it, but she's also more of a bystander than a hero. She's kind, but also a pacifist who just wants to be left alone, or rather I should say was, because she is dead. Nina is played by Zoe Chow, was born in the 2000s, and genetically altered by her father into a fish woman. She's also the first death of a hero in the DCU, killed by the main villain of Creature Commandos, Ilana Rostovic. The 6th and final category for the cast heroes is, well, Blue Beetle, which includes one character, Blue Beetle. Jaime Reyes is the 3rd Blue Beetle who, unlike the previous one, bonded to Kaji Da, the Blue Beetle Scarab, making him extremely powerful. Jaime is played by Zola Maridueña in the loose cannon project Blue Beetle, but Zola will be reprising his role for a Blue Beetle animated follow-up series that will no doubt delve into the history of the Blue Beetles and the origins of the Scarab. In the DCEU, Jaime was born in the year 2001, making him currently 24, if that's canon. The other 2 Blue Beetles are uncast and technically not 100% confirmed canon, but we can assume that they are. So those are the 18 currently cast heroes in the DCU, but there are also 8 heroes who have appeared but haven't been cast. Ted Kord, aka Blue Beetle, technically appeared in a muffled recording in the end credit scene of Blue Beetle, and again, we can assume this as canon. There is no way that Jaime Reyes will be Blue Beetle while Ted Kord never existed. I wasn't sure if I should include him considering he's just a regular soldier, but considering Sergeant Rock is getting his own movie, I figured why not. Sergeant Rock, alongside the rest of Easy Company, appeared in Creature Commandos. He was voiced by Maurice Sterling, and it seems like he would have been played by Colin Farrell before the movie was delayed and reworked, but this hasn't been confirmed and it might be changed anyway, so I didn't count him as one of the cast characters. Many heroes cameoed in Creature Commandos in A Vision of the Future. Technically, these are alternate timeline or alternate future versions of these characters, but this definitely still counts. This includes Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman, who will go on to appear in the Wonder Woman movie. Apparently, Wally West, aka either Kid Flash or The Flash, who has no confirmed appearances going forward. Michael Carter, aka Booster Gold, who was meant to get his own TV show. Coriander, aka Starfire, who will almost certainly appear in Teen Titans. And Damian Wayne, aka Robin, meant to appear in The Brave and the Bold and also maybe Teen Titans. There's also Batman, but he actually made a real actual appearance a bit later in the season. Batman will go on to appear in The Brave and the Bold and maybe Clayface. It'd be a shame if he doesn't there. There are then 15 superheroes who have been referenced. Actually, there are a few more from Peacemaker, but I don't think those references are necessarily canon. What can be assumed to be canon is the reference to Dan Garrett from Blue Beetle, because again, there's no way there's a Jaime Reyes but no Dan Garrett, especially in this long superhero timeline. As previously alluded to, G.I. Robot was used as the basis for the Metal Men. This occurred in Creature Commandos episode 3, where we see Will Magnus, the creator of the Metal Men, and then the Metal Men's symbols are all seen setting up their existence alongside their archenemy Chemo, who appears in the season as well. In Superman, there's a mural in the Hall of Justice that depicts the long metahuman history of the DCU. As of this video, we haven't gotten a good look at the mural, but between what we could clearly see and what James Gunn has confirmed, we could pretty much confirm the following 12 characters do exist in this universe's past. Brian Kent, aka the Silent Knight, is a 6th century British knight, and in the comics he is one of the incarnations of Hawkman, although I guess unawakened. Also from the 6th century in the comics, the magically enhanced Knight of the Round Table, Sir Justin aka Shining Knight, and also his Pegasus, Winged Victory. The Native American totem enhanced Super Chief from the 15th century, John Valor aka Black Pirate, a British privateer in the 16th century, the Justice Society of America members Ted Grant aka Wildcat, Kent Nelson aka Dr. Fate, maybe played by Pierce Brosnan, and then also maybe Alan Scott aka the Green Lantern. Gardner Grail aka the Atomic Knight, likely from the 1960s, Amy Winston aka Amethyst, Dominic Mendoza aka Freedom Beast, and Francisco Ramon aka Vibe, who are all likely from the 1980s, and Andrew Van Horn aka Gunfire, likely from the 1990s. There's also maybe Dolphin, but we never got a good look at her, and I don't think she fits the metahuman history. She would be more of a present day character, and it seemed like Jay Garrick was there, but James Gunn actually confirmed that he wasn't. There's likely others we haven't seen, maybe who we thought was Jay Garrick was another speedster, like maybe Max Mercury. I guess we'll have to wait and see. And that brings us to the future of the DCU and the characters we haven't seen yet, but who have been confirmed. There is technically only one officially confirmed character who we have not seen yet, and that's Alec Holland aka Swamp Thing, who was included in the cameos in Creature Commandos initially, but for some reason that was cut. He's meant to appear in Swamp Thing. There's an animated movie coming out in 2028 called Dynamic Duo, which will focus on Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. James Gunn has said that he wants it to be DCU canon, but is not sure it fits within the DCU continuity. So if it is DCU canon, then Jason Todd and Dick Grayson have been confirmed for this universe and we haven't seen them yet. If it's not, we can probably still assume that these two characters will exist in this world, because we're getting to Damian Wayne already. Dick Grayson, at the very least, 100% we can confirm he's going to appear, with Jason Todd being slightly less certain. A few heroes who have been mentioned to be a part of the plans by Gunn are Cassandra Cain, Vixen, Huntress, Nubia, Green Arrow, Aquaman, and Static. Aquaman, alongside the Flash, was mentioned to not be appearing in the next 2 years, while Static might just have some right issues that prohibits his use. Finally, there are a few blanks we could fill in for this world where, if it's comic accurate, these characters should be around. We see the Animal Vegetable Mineral Man, an enemy of the Doom Patrol, so they're probably around. If Cassandra Cain exists, Barbara Gordon almost certainly does. Tim Drake completes the set of Robins, Mr. Terrific's origin implies Terry Sloan and the Spectre, while Wally West's appearance implies Jay Garrick and Barry Allen. Paradise Lost suggests Hippolyta, Lanterns suggest all the other alien lanterns like Kilowog, the Teen Titans movie suggests Cyborg, Raven, and Beast Boy, alongside maybe Wonder Girl, Aqualad, and Speedy, while the Authority movie suggests Midnighter and Apollo at the very least, but also maybe Jack Hawksmoor, Jenny Sparks or Jenny Quantum, the Doctor, maybe Swift, but I doubt it'll be Swift because I think Hawkgirl is just going to take her role. Most of these are just in development, there's no absolute guarantee they'll appear, but if we include only the heroes who have appeared, either genuinely or pictured, we do already have over 30 heroes in the DCU, undoubtedly more in 1 year than the entirety of the DCEU. I'm loving the world building, giving lesser used characters a chance, the focus on Superman and the Green Lanterns, and the general structure of this universe so far. I'm definitely very excited to see what's next. The DCU's future is promising.